Mythic Plus is a big part of the game, and with the recent changes to the new Turbo Boost event, we saw that Mythic Plus was getting somewhat left behind, that it seemed like raiding was the real way to gear out in this Turbo event. Well, recent changes that we just went through yesterday indicated differently. That's right, Blizzard is listening, and Mythic Plus players are about to get a massive boost. Nia, thank you for the follow and welcome to our Scourge. Mythic Plus players, rejoice, because this Turbo Boost event is about to be amazing for you. Let's check out why from Dalaran Gaming.
Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and a huge event called a Turbo Boost event is coming out rather soon on May 13th, which is going to be dropping a massive boost to how we get to gear our characters with uncapped crests, Warbound Valor Stones, and even a massive upgrade to all of the different upgrade ranks for Hero Track and Mythic Track items for additional power gains for the rest of the season. We also will be getting a currency that was initially going to be a bad luck protection for raiders. However, the community prevailed with this week's update, revealing that they will actually give some drops for Mythic Plus players as well, allowing them to also take advantage of the bad luck protection to get some of the most competitive items available.
So if you don't know, I mean, the big problem with the Mythic Plus runners and everything, and why they were sad, was they were going to require you to raid, basically, to be able to get the best gear, that it was only going to go up to whatever you cleared in raid, and I believe that still holds true for Mythic, but being able to push now Mythic Plus is a thing. I'll let the video play out so you can see what kind of changes Blizzard made, but they were big changes for Mythic Plus players, and it's really good for them.
Which is massive. Plus, we also got even more updates regarding how gear is going to be functional in this Turbo Boost, but also additional gains that we'll be getting over the next few weeks as corruptions actually have gotten bolstered, which will offer even more gains for all of our characters for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we're going to be very powerful.
Means easier time progressing through heroic or mythic raids, easier time pushing Mythic Plus dungeons for some of those coveted achievements, and being able to finalize your character with some guaranteed bad luck protection items in order to make your character the strongest it can be for the rest of season 2. And
by the way, I'm pretty sure this event kicks off on the 13th, doesn't it? That's next week. Doesn't this Turbo event kick? I have to, maybe he'll say it in the video, but I'm pretty sure this is next week.
I'll cover all of those updates in today's video.
It's gonna be big.
As always, if you guys want to keep up with the regular patch notes for 11.15 or future updates like 11.17, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. Well, it looks like the community has claimed yet another one, boys. They actually listened, which is so good to see. So, starting with the big Turbo Boost event, one of the things they're going to be introducing is a puzzling cartel chip, a currency that we've heard so much about. Some Inda players have been anticipating since the launch of 11.1 Season 2 content, but it looks like they're actually doing it a little bit differently compared to how the coin, or similar currency called dinar or bronze bullions, what they played in Shadowlands or Dragonflight, is going to function. We find out it's not actually currency to buy gear directly, but rather it'll be a component of bad luck protection for anybody that's been raiding throughout Liberation of Undermine, where you essentially have to defeat the bosses on a set difficulty before you can claim some of their coveted rewards. So
yeah, and look, here's the thing, with the original dinar system that came out in Shadowlands, you were able to buy mythic level gear even if you had never killed a mythic boss, and that was what was really crazy about it, is essentially you were getting your best in slot gear every time you got a dinar, which was a huge deal. Yeah, Turbo Boost kicks off May 13th, by the way, I confirmed it, so that is next week. This change was a little bit sad, and then they had added the additional change of having the requirement to kill all the bosses to be able to loot them. Well, yeah, Mythic Plusers haven't done that if they haven't raided. So this change was very welcome. If you
want to get, let's say, a one-armed bandit and you defeat them on Mythic, then you'll have access to the Mythic loot of that boss, things like a House of Cards, or definitely not Galatia bottle servers, but also like best slots potentially. Or if, let's say, you defeat Mythic Muggsy, then you could purchase his coveted fist weapon.
Right, like I would have bought, if this was still working the same way Shadowlands did, I would have bought the best in slot weapon on Mythic level, because that's what I did. Back in Shadowlands, I went and bought, if you remember, the gavel from the Jailer was like the best weapon for Death Knights back then. I went and bought it on Mythic level difficulty, and guess what I did? I pumped my freaking dick off after I did that shit. It was great. So these changes were upsetting.
Or if, let's say, you defeat Mythic Muggsy, then you could purchase his coveted fist weapon, or any of the other actually kind of solid trinkets, or Chrome
What's the requirement now? I'm not going to spoil the video.
You gotta watch it. Diamond. Yeah, you're going to have to defeat the boss if you want those on Mythic version. You have to defeat the bosses on Mythic first to begin with. So it's a way for you to be able to get bad luck protection if you've been raiding. However, it does lock out a good portion of the community that hasn't been doing Mythic raids. Maybe they do Mythic Plus or some other type of content that I feel like the currency dinar is kind of useless. I mean, you can purchase these items on Hero Track, but anybody that ends up spending the dinars on Hero Track items, it's going to feel like they wasted them when they can't buy them on Mythic instead, which is honestly a shame because this actually had been one of the more popular seasons of Mythic Plus in ever. I think Season 3 of Dragonflight was the most popular one by far, but this one...
Season 3 of Dragonflight. If you had to be there. You just had to be there to experience it, man. I mean, you guys know it was a good time. I was doing 18s. I did some 20s, but I'm not going to lie. I got some help on those 20s, but I was doing freaking 18s back then. You can go check the record. I know you guys are all going to call me liars and shit, but it was a good season. Easy season. Fun season. Good times.
It was like very, very even out because there's so many players not only diving into dungeons, not only pushing high-end dungeons, but also really getting into some of those really high-end keys. There's so many more players.
Yeah, this season's pretty good too.
With the system and some of the high ends out there, and it's really good to see the changes they've done, the additions to Resilient Keystone, and the adjustments to dungeons, to the rewards of dungeons. Everything has been so good, as well as some of the rewards like players pushing for 3K can get a new variation of the Keystone Master mount from the Keystone Legend achievement. And that alone has gotten so many more players diving into really high-end keys just for that achievement. So there's a lot of players playing in Mythic Plus. It's a very, very popular this season, so it just sucked when we didn't have any opportunity for those players to be able to get their items to spend on with dinars. However, to make sure the Mythic Plus players are included, they actually are adding some Mythic Plus exclusive items on that new vendor, and the massive announcement, which means a huge win for the overall community. And now they'll actually add an extra vendor, or maybe the same vendor. I don't really know where the vendor is going to be in Dornogal. We'll definitely post a pin in our community Discord. Definitely be sure to join it if you want to know where the vendor is. As soon as we find out, I'll definitely make a pin somewhere in like the general section as soon as I can, but they're going to be adding a specific vendor or items on the same vendor from the dungeon pool as well. So if you are someone who's been pushing Mythic Plus dungeons or been getting engaged in Mythic Plus dungeons, you'll be able to get an assortment of trinkets from these dungeons, which is some of the most...
Right, which is great because actually some of the best trinkets for every class do come from dungeons. A lot of people's best in slots come from some dungeons, so this is a really good thing, not just for the Mythic Plus players, but the people who maybe raid all the time and don't Mythic Plus. Those will give them a shot to get those trinkets. Now, one more thing I wish they would add to the dinar system. Give me a crafted item. Let me have it. I don't want to participate. You know, Mythic Plusers, they're crying. They don't want to do raiding. That's fine. And raiders are crying. They don't want to do Mythic. But what about me? I don't want to do crafting. I don't like it. I'm not going to participate in it. Don't do it. So why can't I just buy a crafted item with my dinars? Why can't I do that? Give me my best in slot weapon, which happens to come from crafting. Let me buy it with a dinar. Why can't I do that? Can we react to another crafting video? No. No, we will not.
Most competitive trinkets we've seen
Shut the fuck up, save just your
I will not. Plus content, some of the best items
Disgusting
out there.
System.
Even players that are currently raiding would love to have a mythic quality. Now, the base hero version of these trinkets you can purchase without any requirements, but if you want the base slot mythic track version, you will need to at least obtain all of your Mythic Plus keystones at a plus 12 bare minimum. But it will require for you to get the keystone.
Now so this is the big change. If you have plus 12 across the board here, you'll be able to purchase mythic level items. Now, I don't know what the consensus is here. Is a plus 12 easier to do than mythic rating? I think it's easier in that you don't need to get 20 people together or whatever it is, you know, so you don't have to do that 25-man raid. You don't have to depend on that many people, but I do think that if you're doing plus 12s across the board, that's an easier achievement. Even for somebody who mythic raids, that might be an easier way to go. Yeah, way easier. Yeah, so I think we're in consensus here that it is easier. So this will be the path of least resistance. This will be the way that people will get this shit, is going plus 12s across the board. And we've already seen the statistics show that the community, for the most part, is already doing plus 10s across the board. So I think a lot of people are going to do this.
Resilient mechanic unlocked, and that will take for you to complete in time all keys at a plus 12 difficulty, which is pretty close to getting that Keystone Legend mount anyway, and more players are going after that one, so you'll be able to obtain this achievement while you're making your way and working on the Keystone Legend either way for the season. I mean, once a player has cleared every dungeon at plus 12 difficulty, now it's like, you know, you've done every dungeon at a very, very high end difficulty, and this sets you up for a push potential. So being able to buy some guaranteed trinkets from some of these dungeons will be massive. Mythic Plus players will have access to every trinket in priority, which is amazing for healers. DPS, and even tanks. Literally some of the best trinkets out there.
Awesome.
Dark Theft also has a really good one. Not so much as like Terminal of Darkness, although I have some people running it. Carved Blazigon Wax, however, is a solid one for many casters. Even the Dungeon of Floodgate has the improvised Sea Forum Pacemaker, which
Got
is
that one
of
in
the
my vault
better
this week.
trinkets for a good portion of strength and agility classes. A very consistent option with a solid bit of stats. I would, however, like to see them expand on this item collection to not just trinkets. As an Operation Mechagon, there is a weapon of Neural Synapse Enhancer, which is a good stab that offers you quite a decent bit of a stat gain. So I would like to see some kind of an item like this added as well to that list, as well as for any mages out there, imagine being able to get a mythic variation of the Hyper Thread wrist wraps to finalize your character. I really think they need to add some of those unique items on there as well.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to have a system that allows you to fill out a lot of your slots with best in slot, why not just go all in? Just go balls deep. Let us have all the items. Let us at least attempt to get all the items. You're still going to have to put in the work, do the plus 12s and everything else to get that done, or do mythic level rating to unlock that eye level of a gear. But making all of them available, letting us go massively cocked before the Midnight expansion comes out, that's what's fun about it. I mean, BFA, end of BFA, everyone talks about how fun it was because we just got hugely powerful with corrupted gear. Even Legion, end of Legion, we had so much power built up in our Legion legendaries. We were gods running around this game, which is kind of fun at the end of an expansion. It's what you want to do anyway, so why not?
And there's not like there's too many of them, but like Voltaic Stormcaller could potentially be one of those unique items because it does have an additional cantrip effect to it. Which will only be a couple of items because there's not too many unique items in the dungeons outside of the trinkets, and I really do think they should definitely be on the vendors in my opinion. But at the very least, this is a massive improvement for players that really highly engage with M+, which is a good portion of the player base.
Yeah.
However, I think they definitely could do maybe even more improvements. I would have loved...
I wonder what the numbers would be comparing the number of people who do Mythic Plus versus the number of people who raid in this game. I wonder if Mythic Plus has become the main way to play this game. Maybe it has. It might be. It's a less social version of the game. I mean, there's more toxic. I feel like Mythic Plus is more toxic than raiding, personally. But it's less social in that you got to interact with less people. So I'd say the barrier to entry is less for Mythic Plus than it is for raiding. And it's less time consuming in that you don't got to invest 3 to 4 hours to clear a raid. You just got, you got your 30 minutes, basically. Get in there, do the timer, get it done. For that exact reason, Sam, yeah. Raid is the lowest engagement rate content in PvE, really? So you think delves are more engaged right now than raiding? Maybe. That's an even lower barrier to entry. The Gregs of accounting are all doing delves. So yeah, it makes sense. This was a great change. I'm glad Blizzard listened on this part.
To see a separate vendor with delve items as well. So being able to get some of those on Mythic would have been awesome. Maybe that's something they'll do later down the line. I think it would have been great just to make delves feel like a proper form of endgame progression to parallel with raids, dungeon, and delves. But at the very least, this is a huge improvement for so many players that do engage with Mythic Plus that may not engage with Mythic rating. Now, a massive event is going to be arriving very, very soon called a Turbo Boost event, which is going to be, I don't even know for how long, I think the rest of the season, that's essentially going to uncap crests, make Valor Stones warbound, and allow players to fully unlock the potential to be able to gear out their character to the best of the best.
Yeah, it is the rest of the season. It's going to be, it's going to pump up all of our item levels by 6 ranks. So that's going to be across the board. You'll be able to upgrade all of your gear. And it's not, you don't have to get new gear. All the gear will just be made available to upgrade. If you've crafted the gear, you're going to have to recraft a little bit with some resources to push up to the higher item levels. But otherwise, you're going to have uncapped crests, pumping out uncapped Valor Stones, and just be able to pump up all your gear that much further.
Possibilities. And one of the things you're going to be doing is actually increasing the item level of some of the crafted items that your character can create. So if you have a crafted item, like I have a charged claymore for my Death Knight, you will actually be able to raise the item level of the item by 6 item levels in order to boost its item level even further. And you'll be able to do so easily with a new reagent being added on the vendors, which is now available.
I said 6 ranks. It's 6 item levels.
On the PTR.
I know I misspoke.
The Gilded Augmentation Matrix, which boosted by 6 item level, although you could do it by 3 if that's what you want to do as well. Although with Gilded Crests being completely uncapped, I think it's probably going to be better just to farm up a bunch of Gilded Crests in order to buy more Gilded Augmentation Matrices. And when you go to recraft an item, you'll notice that there will be now a new slot in that item where you can actually add one of these matrices to boost the item level of that piece.
So if disgusting. What a disgusting little window pane that is. Fucking crafting. The
Like my
bane of my
rogue, who has
existence.
been, let's say, getting a lot of unlucky drops in my vaults, but has been able to get a lot more crafted gear made for my character, especially with those crests being uncapped in terms of how fast you can farm them. You could potentially on day one boost a bunch of those crafted pieces by 6 item levels and make a decent bit of headway in your best slot gear fairly quickly. But it's a good idea to hold off making a craft until next week. Just stock up on the...
Well, Cayenne goes, that's part of the thing that I'm saying here. It's not that I'm gold broke, it's that I feel like crafting is just a system to create more purchases of gold. You buy more WoW tokens, help the gold farmers. That's all it is, just this funneling system for more gold in the game.
Materials necessary, so
corrupted
then you'd have
system.
to craft and then have to recraft all over again, paying somebody on the work order system double for every single craft. So it might be a good idea to start preparing for that ahead of time, but it's definitely really good news to see just how easy it's going to be to increase the item level of some of your best crafted pieces.
Yeah.
Also, on May 20th, we'll be getting access to Horrific Visions, as they'll be making a return for Season 2 content, becoming more of an evergreen feature. It's an opportunity for players to earn a bunch of Veteran Track, Champion Track, and Hero Track.
Wait, are Visions going live on May 13th as well? When's the go live date for Visions? I forgot. Blizzard tweeted this shit out. Does anyone remember? I gotta find the damn tweet again. Here, I'll let this video play. I'll find it.
Items. It's also an opportunity to collect a bunch of old rewards from Visions from BFA, but also new ones from some of the secret mountain quest lines, as well as end of vision ones at the end of every single boss kill. Then you also have a vendor that has a variety of different items that you can add to your collection, but also an opportunity to gain additional power, as BFA corruptions make a return, this time as a helm enchant, and you can only equip one of them at a time, but they are still quite powerful, and many of them have gotten buffed up ever so recently.
Yeah, the corruption enchants are looking much better, and they're more balanced out. There is still one, I forget what the hell it's called, but it is the best of the corruption enchants. It'll be the one most people use. But they're giving like a 1.8, I think it was like 1 to 2.3% boost on your DPS for an enchant that's really good. So the corruption enchants, Blizzard fixed those as well. They've been listening to feedback. They've been acting. It's been good to see. And here's the dates. I said I would get them. Winds of Mysterious Fortune, April 22nd. Horrific Visions, May 20th. So that means next week, the Turbo Boost event goes live, and then the following week, Horrific Visions go live. That's awesome. Then Dastardly Duos, June 3rd. Good. We're going to be busy. It's good.
New corruptions that got buffed up, we do see Void Ritual that actually got nerfed a little bit. They reduced some of the effectiveness of the stats granted by the Void Ritual, which basically is a very baseline, very passive option. As you deal damage, there's a chance you could start a Void Ritual where you'll gain additional secondary stats over time. When the Void Ritual procs, you get a buff called The End is coming, where you start to gain all secondary stat increases little by little, which is a solid bit, and so far looked like
what,
the
Lando?
best
I'm not understanding
for
what you're saying.
every single class out there. But with them nerfing the stats a little bit, does give room for some of the other corruptions to get a little bit more play, and some of the worst ones also got buffed up a considerable amount. The other one that got buffed up by quite a bit is Echoing Void, which was really underwhelming. But they recently buffed up both the base version and the greater version of this little corruption by 70%, making it a lot more effective.
Massive
It is
boost.
a melee heavy corruption effect that mostly works while you're up close to a target. As you deal damage, you have a chance to get the buff of Void Coalescing, and when you deal damage, there's always a chance that you will just start consuming all of those stacks, pulsating on the target back to back to back. So in big group AoE situations, it can actually deal a decent bit of damage, but it also is a solid option.
Oh, okay. I see what you guys are saying. The corruption mechanics won't help me because I don't, yeah, okay, because I suck at the game. Okay, fucking toxic ass chat. Bunch of bitches in the chat today. Keyboard warriors going at it today with Sam. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay.
In early numbers for
fuck you guys and crafting. How about that?
Target. And for some melee classes, this may actually end up being your best corruption going forward, especially if you're a class that likes raw damage. So anything that maybe utilizes a lot of versatility or portions of versatility into the class, or maybe a class that doesn't have like the greatest mastery or something, you may actually end up using that corruption more than anything. Now another one that got buffed up is actually Twisted Appendage. Buffed up is damage by about 12% or 12.5%, making it a lot better and a lot closer to all the other corruptions, though not necessarily amazing either. This corruption is also notorious and difficult to test on the PTR, but you can see what it does proc because it needs a living target to go.
Oh, there's a tentacle.
It does do a solid bit of burst damage, but it does have a slowing effect, or at least it used to. I don't know if it works on rares or not, but you can proc a bunch of them back to back, and if the slowing effect does persist as it's supposed to, it could potentially be pretty good within PvP, both with the slow as well as its additional damage that's kind of difficult to stop unless you literally go up and try stunning the tentacle in order to shut down some of that damage.
It's a hentai enchant.
Buff either way, that is noticeable, and it's an opportunity for even more corruptions to possibly get some play when this update officially goes live on May 20th, which means we're about to get, outside of the turbo boost, yet another opportunity for even more additional power gains in the Season 2 content. But with that being said, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give this a like. I would very much appreciate it. Also, join our Discord community to keep up with all the regular updates, whether it is for the most recent patch notes for 11.15 or possibly future updates like 11.17 right now over on the PTR. Also, let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.
Good video. Nice to see. And look, the main thing that I'm getting out of this video and everything else that's coming 11.1.7, Blizzard is listening, man. They're listening. They're reacting, they're taking the feedback. That's a huge, this change is massive. To make Mythic level raid gear available to somebody who's never entered raid but is participating in the Mythic Plus system to the point where they get plus 12s across the board done, what a great compromise. What a nice thing. Great to see from Blizzard that they're in fact doing these kinds of things and making sure everybody who plays this game in every type of way is in fact able to get gear that they want to get. Even the Delvers are going to be able to get better shit now with those new empowered Delves or whatever they're calling them. Nice for the Gregs out there. Great video. Nice to see from Dalaran Gaming.